Good afternoon and welcome to another GemCap Academy. It's my pleasure today to introduce Henning Swabey of governance.com as Chief Commercial Officer. Afternoon, Henning. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, Stuart. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this chat for a while, and obviously I'm a big fan of GemCap and the Stuart Alexander brand as well. So it should be a good afternoon.
Stop it. Keep going. That's fine. Thank you so much. Henning, we've known each other now for, 15 years, I guess.
Yeah, about that,
yeah. We first met when you were at RBC, and you always struck me as the technical guy, and as in the guy who had the brains behind the business.
Keep the compliments coming my way too.
Well, we're scratching each other's backs here too much. Now, governance.com is a business which has been around just a short period of time, really. Do you want to tell our viewer who and what does governance.com do?
Yeah, so governance.com, we're a fintech business. I don't really like that term fintech because it can mean everything and nothing. You can have these big global technology businesses like Swift, which are technically a fintech, a financial technology business. But so governance.com is we're no longer a startup. We're a scale-up business. We have been around for quite a few years, but at the same time, we are now looking to really expand and to create a more scalable product suite that really kind of help our clients scale their own business. What we do is that we help our clients to structure their data, and then we provide no-code automation to that to help them visualize it and basically automate their business. So our focus is on supporting depository businesses, management companies or AIFMs, and fund administrators. Essentially, what we do is that we offer a kind of an oversight and control capability where you have a fiduciary responsibility to either look after investors or assets.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll dive into some of that in some detail, but obviously the word I picked up there was about fintech. Now, fintech, financial technology, is something which has been around now for a good number of years. And obviously we at GemCap and our new friends at MC Squared, we're an AFM and a Manco, and there's often a lot of challenges within those businesses. I mean, it comes from the regulation, it comes from the legal element, it comes from the technology, it comes from the operational aspects. From your perspective, where you sit, what do you see the biggest single friction points there in the market right now, and what do firms need to do to solve
that? Okay, so that's a great question. It's a big question as well, and I'm going to answer it, or try and answer it, probably on two levels. First of all, from my experience, if you like, and then my more recent experience. So just by way of experience, we did meet, as you say, about 15 years ago, but I've been in the industry for over 20. Worked in Belgium, Australia, Singapore, London, and moved to Luxembourg 5 years ago. So I guess I've seen the funds industry, and I've seen it from a global perspective, and there's some strong commonalities that happen, or that I've witnessed across all those different markets, either whilst working as a fund administrator or in fintech businesses, but always working with and supporting asset managers. And I think some of the most common problems boil down to, I guess, yesterday's solutions. Yesterday's solutions are today's problems. What does that mean? If we're looking at things like settlements, for example, there's a lot of talk around, well, how do we move from T+2 to T+1 or T0, or and then on the other side you've got blockchain, where where theoretically you've then got instantaneous settlement, where you are then sharing your register, your network with everyone. So we're really having a totally two different levels of discussion. I think for me, one of the biggest pain points or friction points that we would see in the industry, that I've seen in the industry, is around the number of counterparties or intermediaries in many cases that people are working with. Because when we're dealing with our operational or compliance responsibilities, in many cases you're dealing with the tip of the spear for what concerns you. But if you follow then if you follow that spear, along the shaft, so to speak, then there's going to be lots of different steps of other people, other companies who've done something that you're then receiving, and that you might also be passing on to someone else after you as well. So basically, you have this really long chain of potential weaknesses, and you're really only as strong as the weakest link of that chain. So I think for me that's one of the most common issues. If I look more locally now, in Luxembourg, I guess with governance.com and some of the other businesses that I've been involved with, I think you can really see as well that you have that issue of the chain. But most importantly, I think a lot of companies, because they're dealing with different intermediaries and different counterpoints and touch points, they don't really know where something is. That you can never kind of put your finger on the nail of where is the problem. Is it in front of me? Is it because I've lost something? Is it because someone else has lost something or hasn't given something to me on the right time? Or for me, if you try and boil everything down, it's to how can I have control around my business and my responsibilities.
So you just made a point there, Henning, which resonates with me, because I've been in the industry a long time, nearly 40 years, and certainly in the last 30 years, I've heard nothing but firms talking about how they're going to improve the efficiency of what we do as an asset management business. And I heard this with the platforms back in the 90s. Never seen a damn thing, quite honestly. It's just got worse. The fees have gone up and our margins go down. Where you talk about your business offering a sort of single unified view for clients, how is that going to help us as a business? And how is that going to help us to connect to all these service providers and these data points and make us more efficient? How is it in reality going to look?
Okay, so I agree with you. I think the promise of technology has been there forever. And if you go to, to conferences like I know you do, and I do as well, and everyone keeps on banging on about the same thing, which is going to revolutionize the industry. And then, and then you've got, 5 years where everyone's still talking about the same thing, and still it hasn't come up. Yeah. I think there are some technologies now which are coming out where we will see some real pace, some change in that in that, I guess, momentum of change. But and we can talk about them a little bit later. But I guess coming then specifically back to this concept of what is the single source of truth. I think where that brings value is that it allows you, the user, to be able to rely on what you can see in front of you without having to swivel chair, if you like, to go and check system A and type in your login and log on to that to have a partial view of something, and then system B and, oh, hang on a minute, did Terry send me that email or not? Let me just go and check my emails as well. And essentially this concept of this single source of truth, especially when you're in a business like yours, where you potentially could have multiple fund administrators, as a third party manco, you can have multiple fund administrators, you can have multiple distributors, you can have multiple clients, you can have multiple investors. I guess it's this ability of being able to have a single cockpit. So pilots these days, some I guess I'm not talking about fighter pilots, I'm more talking about potentially airline pilots. Some might flippantly say that they're a bit more like a bus driver, but it's not. It's still a really critical piece of skill that they have. And what they do before they get anywhere close to even taking off is that they sit in their cockpit and they make sure that all the correct lights are on, and that the microphone is working, and even the air conditioning system is working. And they have this view in front of them of everything which is going to be impacting their ability to fly a plane. And that's, I guess, in some part what I'm talking about when certainly governance.com offers this concept of a cockpit, of being able to understand in your ecosystem who's doing what, who hasn't done what, and when things go wrong, because they always go wrong, in the world of back office, whether it's operational or from a compliance perspective, that you can then have your checklist of what needs to happen in this scenario. It's all fine-tuned around, I guess, your needs and how you're going to work with your counterparties.
Well, that sounds great, and I like the approach. Clearly, one of the key elements to that is data. Yeah. Now, we all talk about if you own the data, you own everything, and data is king. And administrators historically have had all that data. Fund managers have basically outsourced that and given away all that data. And a lot of them struggle to really take, because they have never owned it really, because the administrators own it. They're struggling to take that into a competitive edge for the members of business to make them stand out and differentiate themselves in the market. What do you think can be done to help fund managers and the like to collect that data, to actually make it more meaningful and something they can actually action? What are the things that can be done, do you reckon?
Yeah, I guess data, without being able to really access and understand it relatively easily, data is just noise. It's if you go into your kid's bedroom, when they were younger and there's Lego all over the place, then you just see a messy room. But if you or your kid, are then put all those Lego blocks together, you can then basically create something that you can enjoy, right? I think if you look at the world of funds, and especially with a mid to back office kind of focus, which is more my focus, typically we don't work with the portfolio managers who make the buy sell decisions and are responsible for the performance of the portfolio. We're more looking at operational alpha around how we can take out costs, how we can reduce risks and those kinds of things. I think that if you have access to that data, whether it is around understanding whether your service providers are doing a good job, for example, as you said, you've delegated those responsibilities or that work. You need to make sure that they're doing a good job and that you're getting value for money. Data is useful. If you are looking at your distribution channels and you want to understand, where, who is selling what, are they selling it to the right people? Both, which is going to give you either a commercial or a compliance edge as far as those responsibilities are concerned. But also if you're just looking to make sure as well that you are that your portfolios are being run smoothly, that you can spot a fire or maybe smoke coming out of the machine before it turns into a fire, then data is going to help you to do that as well. So really, it's data and the ability to access it and to use it that's going to give you an edge on multiple different fronts.
Okay. Well, as you know, in the years you've known me, you probably recognise me not as a technical sales guy or a data sales guy. I'm about people, and our industry is all about the people. The relationships, and I slightly worry as I come towards the end of my career in this industry that we're moving into a less personal relationship between buyers and sellers, whatever it may be, between vendors and partners. We'll probably touch on that in a moment. But when it comes to the industry, do you think that what you represent is almost a machine? Does that take away some of the elements for the growth of our industry, or do you think it actually, as in the sense of historically our growth has been human related, but it's now becoming more machine driven, and therefore how does that affect and I hate this expression, to be fair, we do use it, the ecosystem, the ecosystem of what we are about? Do you think taking the machine and putting it into that ecosystem is going to be better than human interaction and resolving that issue? Now, please do not give me a ChatGPT response to this, because I've plenty for that ChatGPT on certain things. But go on, fire away.
Let me answer it in the concept of something that you will understand, which is sales, right? So in sales, you often have magic and you've got science. You've got almost two different kinds of salesperson. You have the one person who's
in the science,
so you've got the ultimate charmer, which is the human, and then you have the numbers person, right? you got the money ball kind of approach to things as well. So, you know, I think technology
Sorry,
is.
did you just call me the Tom Cruise of fun sales? Is that what you just said?
Well, only
I'll
if you
take
think
that.
that
I'll
Tom
take that
Cruise
any
is a
day of the
charming
week.
man,
Thank
but
you.
you know. No, I think it's good. I think technology is good. I think technology for technology's sake is bad, and there's a lot of solutions out there that are looking for a problem to fix. If you see what I mean, you know, there's a lot of companies that are being created that are there looking for investors, but haven't really got a problem that they want to solve. You know, and I think it's important when you apply technology that you apply it to a problem that you are trying to solve with a kind of a desired outcome in mind.
Let's move on and let's talk about something you've mentioned to me in the past about what is the difference. And this is a terminology I struggle with because I talk a lot about partnerships and having a true partnership with somebody, particularly with a fund manager that's coming onto the platforms. But you talk about vendors and what is basically the difference between a vendor and a true partner in your eyes?
I think that's a good question. I mean, you know, when we use vendors as well, right? So, you know, as much as we are a vendor, we also use vendors. So, you know, I guess we're on both sides, and same with you as well. You know, you work with your administrators, technology partners, distributors, but you're also a vendor to the asset managers. You know, so and I think we're aligned on this. I think for me, a partner is someone who deeply cares about their partner's business. You know, who is there to try to understand it and try to see how we can, as partners, you know, apply our own creative juices and resources to help our partner business grow and for our business to grow through that, as opposed to, you know, I guess just trying to make some money. I think a vendor is someone, you know, who you could look at as being, if you're deciding whether to change a service provider, then it's much easier to change a vendor relationship than it is a partnership, because the partnership, like with any relationship, requires work and requires understanding and, you know, and has those ups and downs in it. But if you, as a partner, you can truly think about, well, how can I change my product, or what elements of my product does my partner not know about that I really believe that I think I can help them with.
You're working with them, aren't you, to resolve the problem? I mean, as a business, you won't grow unless you're listening. You've got to be part, and that's where that partnership really comes into it. And I guess someone like governance.com, you've evolved as a business, not because you sat there with a blank sheet of paper and wrote it out and said, there you go, that's what you want. You've gone out there, you've done the research, you've gone back, you've built it, you've gone back out, and you've come back and rebuilt it. And then you've gone out again and again and again, and you've evolved it over time to create that solution. That is, to me, is a true partnership, because not one size fits all. I guess you've got different solutions, haven't you?
Correct. Yeah. And I think it's important as well, you know, to fail fast. You know, don't waste your partner's time. Don't waste your time. You know, if you've got something that isn't really going to bring value to them, like, don't spend time trying to sell something to someone that isn't going to move the needle, and that your client, your partner, might get pissed off with you, you know, 2 months or 6 months or 2 years down the road because they're not finding any use in it. You know, don't do anything that's going to hurt yourself.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we, as you know, you've known GemCap for a good number of years, since the beginning, really. We've now obviously merging with our friends over at MC Squared in Luxembourg, which gives us this whole new AFM aspect. It will be a while before we get that license, but we have the branch in Dublin, and we're going to be growing through that, which is really exciting. It's something that I've been keen to do for quite some time. If you were a brand new AFM, I'm not necessarily asking to advise us, although this could be free advice. I'm looking forward to this. How would you what would you be advised to structure their governance and their data for long-term success? And most importantly, what is, you reckon, is the one non-negotiable principle that we should follow from day one?
Okay. So I think there's two parts to that question. The non-negotiable for me is you have to think about integrations. You have to think about how is everyone going to work smoothly with your single source of truth, whatever it is that you're going to be using to make sure that you can run your business efficiently and smoothly. How are all the other pipes going to connect into it? So these days we have APIs, which are kind of which should be the non-negotiable, I guess, is how is everyone going to plug in to your business? If you're then, and then if I'm thinking, more specifically around, well, I guess setting up, and then it's also about who are your partners? Who are you going to trust when the proverbial hits the fan, and it does? Who do you, and this comes back to the human element, who are you going to call to say, I need you to help me now, and you're going to trust that they will?
Now, I read recently that you guys at governance.com had won the Lofts mutualization catapult programs or something like that.
Yeah.
Mutualization of data and documents. What elaborate? I am completely confused.com here. So explain to me what that actually means and where this is shared and how we can, because obviously mutualization means it's available to people. It's open, I guess it's open architecture, open information.
Yeah, think of it as a utility. Think of it as something for so if an asset manager decides to work with GemCap or with MC Squared as their management company, they also need to select a depository bank, and they also need to select a fund administrator, and they might need to select a separate custodian, and they need to work with depositories and law firms, and each of those different entities that asset manager is going to have to do KYC with, so they'll have to send their documents. And then the next company is going to say, please send me your documents. And then, and so basically from a client experience perspective, that your asset management client is going to be completely frustrated with that process. That happens, of course, with investors as well. It happens with everyone. But the interesting thing, especially where you're working, with an AFM or a Manco, is that all of the other actors will then have to do due diligence on each other. So you're going to be performing due diligence on the depository and on the distributors, and it's constant and it's non-stop, and you need to refresh all your documents every 1, 2, 3 years, whatever the risk profile of that counterparty is and your own risk appetite is. So essentially you are wasting a lot of time and therefore money, and therefore increasing the cost of that asset manager to do business, which is overall reducing the return either for themselves or for the investors. So what the Loft, the Luxembourg House of Financial Technology, has done is that they've worked together with a number of industry associations in Luxembourg. So the Luxembourg Private Equity Association, the Luxembourg Alternative Administrators Association, or the L3A, with the ABBL, the Association of Luxembourgish Banks, and then also with the Luxembourg Stock Exchange, to basically everyone's come together and said, okay, enough is enough. Let's really try and do something about that, and to create this utility where we can get rid of all of this cost and we can improve the client and the investor experience.
Well, other than the number of acronyms you threw in there, maybe that's one thing that from the data management we can clear up the 3 or 4 letter acronyms. I think actually no, Loft is a 5-letter one, so that's even further. I don't think we can go beyond that.
Yeah.
But let's sit here with our crystal ball.
Yeah.
You're much younger than me. You've got a young family, a lovely wife who's involved in rugby, is she not?
She is. She's the proud president of the Luxembourg Rugby Club, or RCL. It's called Rugby Club Luxembourg. First female president.
It's amazing. It's really good.
She's passionate. She's doing a great job.
Yeah, well, I follow her on LinkedIn, and I think it's amazing what she's doing with the rugby club there. So yeah, congratulations. But anyway, we digress. Going on to looking at our crystal balls. Where do you see the future? I mean, the next 5-10 years. I mean, in 10 years time, I won't be in this industry. That's for sure. I'll probably be in the garden, not pushing up daisies, hopefully planting.
Hopefully not.
What are the technologies you see developing which will help us in this industry, actually help it grow? Where do you see those industries, those technologies developing?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm biased in the sense of I work in in the more middle to back office side of the industry, as I've said. Uh, my the way that I look at things is, I guess I'm a plumber. If you think about the Wild West, where you had some speculators who would go out to to Western to the Wild West in America, and some would find reams of gold and become generationally wealthy, and others would do pretty well, and some didn't do all that well, but others maybe got lost or died of starvation, or you know from our perspective, I guess what the industry, what our part of the industry is about putting the train lines in, is around putting the, is selling the shovels and the donkeys and the maps, if you like, that are going to allow those speculators to be as successful as possible and to get logistics to them. I look at it from that side. I think there's a few technology kind of buzzwords out there at the moment. Blockchain is one, and if you think about it, blockchain is that it's the train lines, if you like. It's the and more than the train lines, it's the teleportation devices that can allow information to be in two places at the same time, if you like. So it's shared, it's instantaneous, and I think that's going to have an impact, but the biggest impact is going to be alternative intelligence. If I look at alternative intelligence, I think the pace of change is going to accelerate rapidly, and it's not just going to accelerate because of the AI getting cleverer and being able to help people in different ways. The AI is helping us to make better hardware. So in order to crunch those numbers in order for the AI to work, it needs to be able to do that on some hardware. And so I was at a conference maybe about 6 months ago, and they brought in Meluxina, which is in Luxembourg. It's the Luxembourgish supercomputer Meluxina.
Okay.
And and I guess the team who came in were kind of explaining how the hardware there was being decommissioned and was going to be replaced. But what they had explained is that in order to replace it, what they did is that they used AI to get them to basically build better hardware. And so the software, i.e. the AI that sits on the hardware, is helping us to develop better hardware in ways that we humans would struggle to find those, to find the short circuits or the shortcuts, if you like, which in turn is going to enable better software. And that's where I think this...
Yeah. It's become exponential in the AI world. There's no doubt about it. You see, it's just evolving. It's intuitive. Let's hope that AI, as someone famously once said to me, AI in our industry, any form of intelligence in our industry would be a good thing. AI should be a good thing. I think it's what is interesting, Henning, from this conversation. There's things are evolving very quickly, and we should reconvene probably in a year's time and fact check what we're saying today, and look again, get the crystal ball out and say, well, where are we going to be in another 12 months? Because I think the conversation will be different.
Yeah.
But for now, Henning, thank you so much for your time. It's been great to catch up. Love to your lovely wife and to the children, and I look forward to seeing you on one of my newest trips to Luxembourg over the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Stuart. It's been great to talk, and I think humans are always going to be there, and you're always going to want to make sure that you can trust your partners.
Oh, I like that. Take care. All the best.